Hello, I'm Dorothy from Let's Eat Malaysian. Today I'm going to teach you a recipe which is called the Empress dish. It consists of Chinese mustard green and it's the long leaf one, okay? Now, the reason it is called the Empress dish because the story goes that every time the emperor had a celebration, there would be a lot of leftovers of meat, and what the kitchen staff would do is that when the festival was over, they would take all the meat and then throw it in a pot and put this mustard green inside. Now one day the emperor was passing by the kitchen quarters and he had this nice smell coming through the kitchen. So when he went and saw what it was, the kitchen staff told him that it was the leftovers of the dishes that had been served. So what he did was he tried the dish and he liked it so much that it became one of the famous dishes of the emperor. So okay, now what I have here is a bunch of mustard greens that I have washed and cut up into 3 or 4 inch length. Now if you see any yellow leaf, throw that away because we don't want all those dead leaves. So this is the Chinese greens, Chinese mustard, that's what they're called. Peel off the leaf and wash them because they're usually quite sandy. As you can see, there's a lot of sand, so you have to really wash this vegetable thoroughly. Sometimes the sand get caught here, so that's why you have to make sure all the sand comes out. Now there's 2 types of mustard greens. One is this type, this is the long one, long leaf. There is another type that come in ball. It looks more like a cabbage or a lettuce. It's also a mustard green, but for this dish, which is called the Empress dish, we usually use a long type. I have 1 big brown onion. I love onions in my dish. Big brown onion, 3 big cloves of garlic. Now here I have 2 big dried chilies for heat, because this dish is supposed to be sweet, sour and hot. Now if Australians, you don't take too much heat, use your chili sparingly, but I like it a little bit hot. Here I have what you call tamarind slices. This will give it its tang. Okay, it is sour. Now while you cook, you will have to adjust. Before you bring up your dish, you will always have to see whether it's more tangy or less tangy. Now start little, and if you find that it's not sour enough, you can always add a few more pieces at the end of your dish, okay? This is Chinese lapcheong, or Chinese sausages. Chinese sausages, I'm using 2. Now I don't have any leftover of meat, so what I did is I'm going to try using some hot dog, and here I have 4 hot dog. I'm using a can of baby corn cuts and a small tin of button mushrooms to give it that bulk, and you don't just want to eat vegetables, you want some other things in it. What I'm going to do is to cut the chili and take out the seeds. You don't have to cut it small, just you want the flavor, the heat. You're not going to eat the chili. So you take out the seeds, as many as possible, but if you can't take out all, that's fine. It's just that if you take out the chilies, you know, you reduce the heat. So that's what I usually do. Now I'm recommending that you use the big dried chilies. If you use the bird-eye chilies, they're very, very hot. So I normally put just one. But these are big ones, so they should be less hot. Okay. Now, for your garlic, can just coarsely chop your garlic. Now, as you can see, I always use these condiment trays. They are very good when you're doing your Asian cooking. And you can get them from the op shops. They're very cheap. Okay, you don't really have to cut the garlic too fine because it's going to take a while to cook this dish. And by then, all this garlic would have boiled down. You're going to dice your onion. As you can see, I always use my Chinese cleaver. I'm used to this knife. You don't have to make it perfect, your dicing, just roughly dice your onion. Now, as I say, if you don't want to use hot dogs, which is not my choice actually, I prefer to use like a roast chicken, or you could, if you can find Chinese roast pork, that's actually the best ingredient you use for meat. Sausages, cut them in coarse chunks, I suppose. Slice them up. As you can see, they're not fine. They're about at least about an inch thick. Now thinly slice your Chinese sausage because you're going to have to fry these first. You want to drain your button mushrooms. You don't need the water. So drain your mushrooms. If your button mushrooms, you can also use the fresh ones, but I like the canned ones. Now sometimes you can get these mushrooms that are very big, then you can cut them into half. These are tiny, quite small, so I'm going to use them whole. You can actually use just a small tin of corn cuts if you have, but since I don't have, I'm going to use a whole tin of this. Again, just drain your corn cuts, you don't want the water. Okay, we can start to cook. Now this dish will take a bit of oil, and I'm keeping some spare chilies just in case that it's not hot enough, and some spare tamarind. Okay, I'm using here also 100 grams of ham, but you can substitute it with bacon. Now I will not recommend you to use meats for this dish like lamb or beef because the flavor is quite different. So you can use pork, you can use chicken, and I don't recommend you to use fish because it takes a long time to cook and the fish will just disintegrate. So use chicken, pork, that's about it. So I'll just coarsely chop up this ham. Okay, that's it. The Chinese green, when you buy a bunch, it may look a lot, but I can assure you when you cook it, it really boils down. So it doesn't look as much as you think it is. Right, so let's start. Light up the fire. medium flame. It's not high, medium flame. This dish takes quite a bit of oil, so I will go with maybe 3 tablespoons. Okay. This is my favorite spatula, a bamboo one. And I'm using a non-stick 2-handle wok. Give it some time to heat up, and then you can first fry up your Chinese sausage. Let it brown a bit. Get the flavor out. In first. Now you want it to crisp up a bit, no? So cook it until you can see the white bits of lard in the lapchong or the sausage sort of disappear. Okay, as you can see, it's already, see, it's turning color and it's getting crispy at the sides. You don't want it to be fully crispy, but this is what you're looking for. See, it's curling up. Now I put 3 tablespoons of oil. The Chinese sausage will also bring out some oil, and you will have that nice Chinese sausage smell coming out. Alright, now lower your fire a little bit, and you add in your garlic and chili. We want to brown the garlic a little bit. Okay. Now meantime, you can put in some chicken stock. I have here from Hong Kong. Since it's going to be quite a big pot, so you just put about a teaspoon of chicken stock. Okay, the garlic is already beginning to brown. You can now add your onion, and I'm using here 6 slices of tamarind. So you can raise your fire now a little bit, just to medium, so that the onion will fry a bit quicker. Once you see it's a bit translucent, you can start to add in your ham or your bacon, whatever you have, and even your meat and your button mushrooms and corn. Okay, this is all going to go in. Corn cuts goes in, button mushrooms goes in. Fry it about 5 minutes. As you can see, because you've put in all the ingredients, there'll be some moisture coming out of this. So I've just raised it a little bit more, the heat. Okay, while it's cooking, I'm going to dump in salt, sugar, Chinese 5 spice. Now I've got this in a container with some holes here, so I'm going to put like 3 or 4 dashes. 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 dashes of that. Or you could say you put about half a teaspoon of 5 spice inside. Salt. Just going to use half a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon of pink salt. And this takes quite a bit of sugar because of the tamarind. So for a start, as I said, before you pick it up, you will have to do your last tasting. So for now, I'm going to just give it 2 teaspoons and see how it goes. Okay. Going to add a teaspoon of soy sauce. Okay. And you can put sort of a tablespoon of oyster sauce. Wait. Okay. Alright. Give it a quick stir and you can now put your veggie. You will eventually have to add water, and then you will boil it up and then lower the flame and let it slowly boil on a low flame for about an hour. Now this vegetable won't disintegrate, so you don't have to worry about it. That is why we use mustard greens for this emperor's dish. Okay, now we can add the water. Go for 2 cups of water, okay? Wait for it to boil up. You can put the flame on high so it'll boil faster. Okay, cover the pan so that it'll boil a bit quicker. Okay, now you can see it's boiling. So what you do, give it a quick stir. And now you can lower down the fire and let it slowly simmer. Now when you see the water is not enough, you can then add, but we'll see how it goes for now. So, and the vegetable should change color, okay? So we're going to lower the fire now and let's see how it goes. We want it to slowly boil, or you could say simmer or whatever. Alright, it'll take time. I expect this to cook about an hour. Yeah, I can see that it may need another cup of water because I'm going to let the soup or gravy boil down. So I'll need another cup of water, and I'm going to test for taste, and it might need a bit of oil too. So let's see how it goes. Another cup of water. I'm quite sure the taste won't be right yet, so I'm raising the fire to let it boil, and then I will test. Now, as you can see, the vegetable has turned its color. It's more like yellowish and it's getting soft, but it will not disintegrate. So I'm going to add, because I'm going to add another two spoons of oil. Let's see, you'll still have to boil down more, but I like the color to be a bit more darker than this. Let's see for taste. The tang is there. Definitely the tang is there, but it's not at all hot. Okay, I'm going to use one of the bird eyes chili. This is the bird eyes chili. I'm just going to drop it in. Take out the seed first. Just drop one in and see. I would like to put a bit more oyster sauce, a bit more. Just maybe a teaspoon more. 2 more chunks of Thai spice. So I say, every time you cook, the flavor will have to be up to your taste. So even though the basic ingredients are there, you have to see what you think might be lacking. There's no fixed recipe about how much you use, because it depends on how much meat you have, how much veggie, you know, how much ingredients you have. So basically it is a trial and error. Even for the taste for sweet and sour, it's up to you. Some people like it a bit more sweeter, some people like it a bit saltier. So always taste your dish before you bring it up. Right now it's not even done yet. I like the tang. It's not overly sour, but I will put in a bit more salt. Maybe just a teeny weeny, like a half a teaspoon maybe. I'm going to lower the fire and put in some of my... Okay, I'm making it a small fire now, and I'm going to just top the MSG, which is Vitsin, not Ajinomoto. This is more flavorsome. So, okay, just a few dashes. Yeah, so give it about maybe about half an hour, but please check from time to time, because you don't want to actually dry out the dish. It'll be sort of a soupy dish. This is going to be a bit soupy. Alright, okay, so now you can close the lid, lower your fire, and continue to boil for maybe half an hour more, so it'll be more or less done. Okay, this has been boiling on a low flame for about an hour, and it's done. As you can see, the vegetable is yellow, not overly soft. As you can see, it hasn't broken up, because it won't. This is the type of vegetable that will keep its form. And there's a bit of soup, but that's what you want. You don't want it too much soup. So there's more ingredients than soup. So there you are, a dish called Empress dish. So if you like this recipe and you try to give it a go, hop on again to Let's Eat Malaysian. Click on like and subscribe. Thank you.